Hello, we are Ana Sofia and
Maria Jose.
And we are going to share with you our last episode of CLIL Classroom. We are really excited.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning. We have to remember that CLIL has 4 C's, which are cognition, communication, content, and culture.
Also, we need to remember that cognition are the cognitive skills. And in the C of cognition, we need to move from lots to hots. Then, in the C of communication, we are using our linguistic abilities. So, we need to move from bigs to gulp. Then, in the third C, that is content, it's the subject that we are studying in a CLIL class. So, it's a topic. And in the final C, that is culture, easy exposure to alternative perspectives and shared understandings to become better citizens in the classroom.
Okay, so the next topic that we saw in CLIL Classroom is the social constructivist learning. This builds experience in learners by involving them in their learning process. So this means that students need to be really active and engaged in order to learn properly. Then we move on to the CLIL matrix. You have to remember that it's the movement from lots to hots and bigs and gulp. So you are gradually improving the communication skills as well as the cognitive skills.
Yes, also we saw language triptych. And remember that the language triptych integrate cognitive content in the language learning. And the language triptych is conformed by language of learning, language for learning, and language through learning.
Okay, so the last topic we saw on the podcast was the planning and lesson preparation. You need to take into account the CLIL matrix always and remember about the learning outcomes, teaching aims, and scaffolding. So these are mainly the objectives and the results you want to get at the end of the class to make the students prove that they actually learned and, well, help them through this learning process.
Exactly, Sofia. Now I wanted to ask you if you have ever experienced a CLIL class in your life.
Yes, actually, I learned all of the content of this podcast in a CLIL class, and also, well, I was in a bilingual school, so most of my classes were with the CLIL methodology. And while learning all of this in elementary and high school wasn't that hard, here at college it was a little bit harder because all of the content of the CLIL that we shared with you was a little bit complex for me to understand, but I think now I got ahead of it and I understand it completely. And that's it. But how about you, Maria Jose?
Well, I was also in a bilingual school when I was in elementary and in high school. And in this class, it was my first experience with a CLIL methodology class, like really real. So for me, it was easy to understand everything. But at the beginning of the course, the methodology was hard for me. Like the way that a CLIL class is like managed, it was really difficult for me. But then I understand the way that a CLIL class work by studying the CLIL content. So for me it was challenging, but I enjoyed it, and at the end was easy.
Well, I'm very glad you enjoyed it because I enjoyed it a lot too, and I think we both learned a lot, right?
Yes. So this was our last episode of CLIL Classroom. We hope you enjoyed the podcast and learned significantly about the CLIL methodology.
And well, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. And as Maria Jose said, we hope you enjoyed your time listening this podcast. Thank you really much for being here with us.
We are Ana Sofia
and Maria Jose.
Thank you.